Hey guys, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about how to kill Sabetha, the final boss of the first wing of the raid. Once we're done with this, you can expect very shortly a video on the lore specifically. We did have a video on the channel talking about my first impressions of Sabetha. Well, this is exactly how we killed her. It's far more comprehensive, basically explains every relevant mechanic that the fight has, talks about our comp just as we did with the Gorseval. I hope you enjoy it. It's a longer one, but hopefully that helps you get through what, in my opinion, was the hardest fight. Some people were saying Gorseval was a bit harder than her, but I really don't believe that's true. And hopefully this is some insights for you all. Check it out and let me know what you think. First of all, people have asked me roughly how many runs it took me to kill Sabetha. I would say, and maybe some of my guildies in chat can disagree with this, I would say we made somewhere between 40 to 50 attempts. Perhaps more. Maybe it was more like 50 to 60. For what it's worth, for the entire raid, I'd actually say we spent about that number of hours in there as well across all the days to complete just the first wing. It took us about 50 to 60 hours to complete the whole wing, I think, worth of sunk time. Again, maybe that's a little bit high of an estimate, but I think as time passes, it becomes easier and easier to forget how long we spent in there and how many attempts there really were. But, alright, so this is Sabetha. This is the third and final fight of the first wing. There, of course, will be more bosses coming up, but for now, this is the end of the raid, and it's got a lot of cool mechanics, and I just kind of want to talk about how we killed it. So first of all, our composition. Now, it's not very easy to see for you guys because I kept it very small, but what we actually had was a Dragon Hunter. Now, the Dragon Hunter was flat damage, not Condi, but specifically had a hammer. Now, the hammer this wasn't like a crazy damage character. This wasn't a dedicated support character. This wasn't a control character or anything like that. Literally, we had the hammer to bump out a bunch of protection. I actually, looking back, question how useful this truly was, because he's in the same party with a couple of heavy armor guys and a ranging druid and an engineer. So I don't really know how necessary the Dragon Hunter was, but hey, it was something that we were using. We had two heralds. Heralds, of course, can put out tons of damage. They actually can take out or deal with one of the mechanics very comfortably. We had a druid healer who was also pushing out a lot of extra damage to people. We had a condition damage engineer, Condi engineer, I'm pretty sure. And then, so on the next team, we have basically a big flat damage team. So we've got a Chronomancer, reducing the cooldowns of 2 Glass Staff Tempests. We have a Herald, who really doesn't get too much benefit from the Chronomancer, but is a thing. And a Berserker, providing banners and lots of additional buffs for people. Now, what you'll actually notice here is we don't really have a dedicated tank. Already, in just the third fight of the raids for Guild Wars 2, they've given us an encounter where the idea of tanking, specifically through a build and stuff, or controlling, isn't really something you dedicate to one person. Sabetha is specifically a boss who you control her abilities, but basically just based on range. So our druid isn't only healing people, but is also staying on max range. So I've talked about some of these mechanics in the video already, and I'll go over them a little bit quicker, but this is how we killed the boss. We're going to organize ourselves. We're going to go up. You notice a lot. Once again, just like with Gorseval, all my cooldowns aren't up at the start. You know, when you're doing back-to-back attempts, I feel it's better to just run in there and go for your next one. And this really isn't a huge problem. But so here we go. We move in. We pop a bunch of our buffs. Okay, so now our druid goes in first. This is very important. The person who is closest to Sabetha will attach a bomb to that character, and that bomb will explode, doing massive damage. Not quite a one-shot, but close to a one-shot to all the other characters if they're close. So what the druid's done is taken that first bomb from being close, and they're going to move away to range, all right? And in this way, we're all going to avoid the damage. Everyone else is going to stack on the boss and start doing as much as we can. I start in air. I was refusing to do this for a while, but by starting in air as a Tempest, I get 10% extra damage, plus put a little buff on everyone. That means they do a little bit of shocking damage around me. So that's nice before swapping into fire to do my rotations. Also helps swing the vulnerability up very high very early on, because each of those strikes is vulnerability. So we're going to move on here. We go with a Lava Font and Meteor Shower. Basically, for the first 30 seconds, it's a 9-minute fight before Enrage. So it's a little bit longer than the other fights. But for the first 30 seconds, we're just pumping out as much damage as possible. You'll notice that the Druid is the only person at range. Now, what the Druid is doing, similar to how Sabetha's attack she only does on people in closest range, she also has an attack she does on people furthest away. And this is this thing here where it paints the floor with these kind of lava, fiery blobs, right? And what he's doing is making sure that these don't land on us. If we were all in melee, then that's going to do a lot of damage to us. So this is kind of where your control comes from. It's through your positioning rather than anything else. Of course, the person close to her is also going to be getting like bombs attached to her. So we have to watch out for that because the druid isn't. And the druid's very rarely going to come in. So we're just going to damage for 30 seconds. After about 30 seconds, and you can see I got my Chronomancer's Alacrity and stuff buffing me up here. After about 30 seconds, mechanics are going to start playing out. So here you can see one of the bombs is attached to one of our guys, and they're going to move away to stop us all getting hurt. Missed, actually. Our Mesmer, our Chronomancer did that very late, so you'll notice here that our Engineer, our Herald, and the Chronomancer himself have all taken fairly substantial damage. And the Berserker. The two Tempests have taken a bit of damage just because we're damn squishy, right? Same amount of damage. That's just from her auto attack when she's not casting fire or she's doing that. Yeah, my gear is entirely Berserkers except an Assassin's Weapons plus 2 Assassin's Trinkets. If I were to press H right now, my crit chance would be at 100%. 0.06. It's basically perfect. So we're going to move on. Right, now 30 seconds have passed and a lot of stuff's going to happen all at once. Number one, she's going to cast a big flame wall. So we'll watch this animation here. This will immediately kill people. You cannot dodge through it. It's risky to invulnerable through it. You cannot, and if you hit it, you will go immediately to defeated. You cannot, take the hit and then get rezzed afterwards. You go to defeated. So everybody has to run in a big circle around this. There's a nice comfortable tail that shows you where it's coming, and we all have to swing in a circle. Thing number two that happens is a cannon is spawned on the map. Now, away from this platform that we're fighting on, which is fairly small, over here, there is now a red X you'll notice on the bottom of the minimap. Now, what this does is this represents a cannon that a bandit has set up off the platform, and they're going to start sieging the platform. When they're sieging the platform, those cannons do lots of damage. So this one's at the south. So the entire south chunk of the platform right now will have these big AoEs landing on it that basically puts a lot more pressure out on the team. Not only this, but the cannons also damage the platform itself. So in the top right-hand corner, you'll see there are 2 health bars. One's Sabetha's health, which we're trying to get down, but the other one's the platform. If the platform takes too much damage from these cannons, and another mechanic I'll establish in a second, then it will blow up and you instantly wipe. In general, the platform mechanics are a very easy one to deal with. There's even an achievement in the game, which means you can leave one of these cannons up for the entire fight and still kill Sabetha. So it's generally, the platform integrity isn't so dangerous, specifically with regard to the cannons, but something else. So that's the second thing that's happened. And thirdly, an enemy's going to spawn. So if we watch very closely here, over in this corner, immediately she starts casting the flame wall, an enemy spawn. This thing is called a bandit sapper. Now, shortly before the Sabetha fight, bandit sappers spawn and kind of demonstrate to you that they have a mechanic where they throw little bombs on you. Now, the bombs do a bit of damage to you over time, but these bombs are actually useful to you. See, we want to disable that cannon, so how do we do it? Well, we need to walk to the south jump pad, and that's my job right now. That's why I'm running Lightning Flash on my skill bar here. And what this sapper's going to do is he's going to throw a bomb onto one of our allies, probably our druid. He seems to go to it. It's very hard to control where he throws this. And then the druid is going to get, just like in the Gorseval fight, where you had an extra special ability that you could press to break out of eggs. We get an ability to throw that bomb that's stuck to us onto a jump pad. And when we throw that bomb onto the jump pad, if I am stood on it too, then I go flying over to the cannons, as we'll see here. So the flame wall's coming. The sapper just threw it onto our druid. I've lightning flashed onto a jump pad. I want to go to the south, but the jump pad doesn't work until my druid throws the bomb. So if we watch very slowly, the druid's seeing that I'm here. There's his animation. And now you see this little ball here. That's the bomb. That's the grenade. And it's coming close. Soon as it hits me and I'm on the jump pad, I get flying over. And we've succeeded the mechanic. Now, why am I doing that with lightning flash? Why didn't I just walk to it, a little bit before 30 seconds? 3 reasons. Number 1, you want to be in melee as much as possible so that you can have 25 might, fury, protection if you're in one of the other groups, all those buffs, banners, everything, right? You want to be in melee for that so that you can actually get enough damage to kill her. Damage actually isn't as difficult in this fight, in my opinion, as the Gorseval fight. It's more about playing with the other mechanics. That's reason number 1. Reason number 2 is the flame wall. Watch again where the flame wall begins to spawn. If I was already stood over on that pad, okay? Well, it could be kind of risky. That's the pad there. If I'm already stood there, I can't, the flame wall's just going to hit me. It's really easy to avoid the flame wall when you're in melee, but when you're at max range, it's not easy. And so that's actually something that our druid, who's luring these big attacks away, has to be careful of. Watch, he's at max range here, but as soon as the flame wall spawns, he's going to move in closer, or he's just going to move to the side here. But he's going to move in a bit closer so he can avoid the flame wall as best as possible. That's reason number 2. And lastly, reason number 3 is, remember, Sabetha uses this fire attack on the person furthest away from her. So if I'm stood here scratching my ass, right, let's say the flame wall's not even coming up, and I don't even care about the party-wide buffs because damage is fine. If I was stood at max range, then she's going to start attacking me. And you might think, well, wooden potatoes, you can just dodge that, just like the druid has. Yeah, but then there's fires all over the jump pad. And then what can I do? Just stand on the jump pad? And this stuff hurts. This stuff hurts so bad that if you're in two, like, little sections of fire at once, you go immediately to downstate, on a glass alley especially, and then you can get burned immediately out of the downstate and die. That happened to me several times. So lightning flash and characters who can blink like this are incredibly useful for getting to those pads. All right. So, all that said, I blink to the pad, and he throws the bomb. I come flying over. Now, my job here begins at this platform. We'll try and get a good angle here, hopefully. All right, so we've got this cannon. My job now is to damage this cannon. You'll notice that I've got 2 debuffs on me, 2 extra buffs. Now, what are these? This first one that looks like my head is shaking is called Woozy. Now, what Woozy means is that I cannot go on another jump pad for a period of about a minute or so, I think. So what's actually going to happen in the fight is this is not the only cannon that's going to spawn. Very quickly, another one's going to spawn. And you might think, well, wooden potatoes, can you just be the guy? You know, can I be a thief, right? Thief, we want you to have for thieves with tons of blinks, and I will be the dedicated guy that goes through all the cannons. But that doesn't quite work, because unfortunately, you have this debuff Woozy, which means you get stunned if you try and go on another pad. We actually had a moment where a guy tried to go on one of the pads, and he got stunned instead and then hit by a flame wall and died. So you need to dedicate different players to the different cannons. The cannons also spawn in a weird enough order that you basically want 1 different player for each cannon. I ended up the south guy. We had a designated west guy, a designated north, and a designated east, and you're going to want to do that too if you want to beat this. The second debuff that's on me is actually being applied to me by an enemy that's near me. So I'm just trying to break this cannon. They don't take too long to break. But you notice I'm getting shot. I'm taking damage. There, see? Every time I get shot, this stacks up. And it means I take more damage the more times I get shot. It's actually a bandit on a little tree that we can't kill. Basically doesn't take enough damage to kill. At some of these pads, 2 of them specifically at south and north, there are safe spots you can hide. I don't need to take those safe spots because I came here at 100% health. But every now and then you might want to take advantage of that. Once you break the cannon, as you can see here, I'm going to glide back through. You'll notice that there's an updraft here, so if you get a really crappy glide, if you fall a little bit, then you can use that updraft. Don't be scared. You can hold back. Mastery you no longer deplete endurance on your bar for, you know, holding back on a glide, so you can stay. It's one of those weak updrafts, so you do have to be careful. Once you've mastered using it, it's totally fine. This updraft will only last for a little while, though. So you do want to fly back quickly. It spawns after you break the cannon, and it will be there for somewhere like 20 to 30 seconds and then disappear. So if you're really late flying back, then it's not going to be there. The reason it's not there permanently is so that our druid right now can't just cheese out the entire encounter and stay on that updraft forever, you know, like say over here, and none of these fire attacks here, okay? I'll talk more about the usage of that updraft in a second, because that's not the only cannon I'm going to get. So then I return. As I'm returning, the druid heals me up to 100%. The druid's going to rotate over here, and then he's going to help his other friends if they come in low. Specifically, the 2 glass Ellies are going to be low, so he'll probably heal Kerry when she comes in from the north here. I want to avoid fire, of course, and we move back into damaging the boss. And you'll notice that the platform's nice and clear, and you'll notice that the platform integrity took like a tiny little lick of damage. It's because I broke the cannon very quickly. We got it first of all. Now, if the druid and I had messed up launching me over to the cannon, let's go back. If at this moment the druid had messed up, right, let's say I wasn't stood there, I forgot, or someone else other than the druid got the bomb and they didn't know, or the flame wall was in a bad place and we couldn't come, basically you get the sapper will connect another bomb, and that's your opportunity again to try and use the jump pad. If you miss 2 in a row, then you're kind of getting screwed, because now the east cannon's going to spawn and you need someone to be over there. So you kind of always get a little bit of leeway. You can fail 1, but you really do want to get one of those 2. And then there's going to be 2 for this. There's going to generally be 2 for this, 2 for this. But it depends on whether you're killing sappers or leaving them alive on the map, and whether you're pulling them into the boss to cleave them down. So that's just something you're going to have to figure out. But yeah, so we move on. And for what it's worth as well, if I didn't kill this cannon now, and we missed like loads in a row, it's best to just leave the cannon for good. Again, because you can leave one cannon up, it just puts more pressure on people, these AoEs that you can currently see on the field. But the other thing is, that cannon's just going to respawn really quickly anyway when I next kill it if you get the timing wrong, so you may as well just leave it. So I come in, I start my overloads, I start my damage. You'll notice that we've cleared the ads. But now, look, just as I finish, the east cannon's up. You see this down here? East. So if you watch very closely, our druid's ready. This guy here threw a bomb. So there you go. That example there, actually, that's a fantastic example. So here on the east cannon, you'll notice that we actually missed. This guy didn't realize the sapper had connected the bomb to him. He wanted to throw it to my ally who's waiting at the east, sorry, but it misses. See, by quite a long range, so he can't do anything. Luckily here, it doesn't really matter so much because there's no flame wall coming up, so he's kind of safe. And he's just going to move back in. He didn't get any fire on the pad or anything. He got fire close to the pad, and now the flame wall comes up. So we're a little bit behind on east. This is a kill of the boss, so this demonstrates perfectly that you can miss it. It's fine. So we're going to get a spare one in a second, and that's what we want to use. But you notice I just got chunked for damage? That's because these cannons are up. Because my Revenant and, were they both Revenants? Or was one of them a warrior? They messed up, so now there's extra damage coming on us as a group. That knocks people out of their scholar bonuses and stuff. This is not like the Gorseval fight where there's constant ticking damage, so you don't have to worry about that. If you deal with the cannons well enough, then you're fine. But in a situation that the cannons do get missed, we can basically, as long as the flame wall's not up, we can just, you know, make sure we stay in the safe areas of the platform, because these are only ever going to come from the east. But so now they got it, as you can see. They got the second one, and they're moving on. So that's the cannons. North is now up, and Kerry's going to go for the north one, and that's going to be constantly happening throughout the fight. We've now knocked him down 33% health, and she's going to phase. So, what happens now is Sabetha becomes invulnerable. May cleanse her condies, or they'll continue to tick, I don't know. She's going to leave. Now, actually, if you look, I destroyed the south cannon, but we've got another icon down here. All right? Oh, this is all west. Sorry, yeah, I was messing that up. This is west. But then we got another icon down here. Now, this is Sabetha herself has gone to where that cannon is. Now, she's not going to repair the cannon, but from over there, we can't hurt her anymore. But she's going to start throwing, what are they called? Heavy bombs. She's going to throw heavy bombs onto the platform. So if we watch closely, we have a new boss we're fighting in the middle that's substituted out for Sabetha, but we'll ignore the new boss for a second with the new boss's abilities. I'll talk about that in a second. But Sabetha is going to start throwing heavy bombs down. And watch closely. There you go. There's one down here right next to us. Sabetha threw that. And you see I can press F to kick. All right? This is slowly going to tick. If it's on the field for 10 seconds, maybe 5. If it's there, this does huge platform damage. So platforms, yes, get damaged a bit by the cannons. But the main thing that's going to cause you failing with the platform is not dealing with Sabetha's heavy bombs. Sabetha's going to try and kill you by breaking the platform. So if this goes off, it chunks it down massively. And I guess if you're going for that achievement, you definitely don't want this. All you got to do, though, is press F, and it kicks it off of the platform. We have a designated guide, the Druid, again, who often does that. But, you know, sometimes it's easy enough just to press F between some cooldowns. It depends where they spawn, because they can spawn anywhere on the map. All right, so heavy bombs are constantly going on. But we've also got a new boss here. Sabetha's only going to throw... And you can see how Sabetha's moved here now. North cannons are up, so we've got someone going to deal with that. Sabetha's only going to be gone for the platform for 1 minute. After that minute, she's going to stop throwing heavy bombs, and she's going to come back down. And so if you haven't killed this new boss here, Kernan, in that time, you're going to have 2 bosses to fight at once. You're going to have Sabetha and Kernan. Kernan really hurts. Now, Kernan can be fairly easily avoided. Her main attack is this big triangle tail that you've seen already. So as we continue to watch, you'll see it going on. You can see another heavy bomb over there. Watch how Druid's going for it. So 3 things are going on right now. We're damaging the boss, we're getting the North Cannon, and we're dealing with heavy bombs. But you see this ability here, this like shotgun ability she uses? When the next comes up, I'll show you. That shotgun ability really chunks you. It does 3 ticks. 1, 2, and it spreads a bit more, and then 3, and it spreads even more. On a glass Ellie, the squishiest thing you can be in the game, this will kill me if I don't have protection. 1, 2, 3, or I'll be on like a tiny sliver of health, but I'll have bleeds on me, and then the bleeds will kill me unless I also get a heal. So really you want to avoid, you're going to find your healer is constantly telling you guys, move out of the way of that, and if you're stuck in like a meteor shower or something, then, you know, you're just going to have to face tank it, but mostly you want to watch where she's facing. Her main tell to avoid this is she always does it where she's facing. Right, you just look at the direction she's facing, you want to stand behind her. You want to burn her down. Now, again, this is a successful kill of Sabetha, and Sabetha's already back. After the minute, we haven't even killed the boss. I do believe that in an absolute max damage comp, you can probably kill the boss before she returns. Well, you don't need to go that crazy, though. All right, but when Sabetha returns, she's immediately going to flame wall, East are going to come up, and we're going to have some more spawns. And we have the old boss here. So you can be in a kind of a scary situation here where the flame wall spins around, and Kernan does that attack. Right there, that can sometimes be really deadly. So you want to kill Kernan quick. Plus, we have the cannons coming up, and you can see there's a lot of mess on the screen. That's eventually what downs me there. You'll notice that we've got a sapper up, but we've also got an arsonist, a bandit arsonist. Now, what does the bandit arsonist do? These do flamethrower abilities. I would actually say that one of the worst things I'm at in this entire fight is avoiding the arsonist attacks, because it's kind of hard to see their tail sometimes, but it does a lot of damage. And if you can keep your eye on the arsonists, you want to step out of that. What we use is our Chronomancer on a focus to pull the arsonists in, and the sappers too. Ideally, you want to leave the sappers up so you've got lots of green bombs that you can use for jump pads. But pulling the arsonists in to burn them down with the main boss is absolutely something you want your Chronomancer to be doing. So, she's using this. We're finally going to kill Kernan here. And you'll notice that we went south, west, north, east. It's going to go back to south now. So I'm watching for south. And the south cannons are going to come up. We're watching for it. Here, though, we dealt with east very comfortably. And if an arsonist was up to put a green bomb on one of us, we could like throw at the boss, but there's not one. If you throw the green bombs here at the boss herself, it will do like a random amount of flat damage, either 33,000, I believe, or 18,000 damage. It can never crit. It's just kind of like a flat random amount that it will hit. If you do it, if you throw your green bomb at one of the phase bosses, they tend to not do very much damage at all. That's not really something you have to focus on in the fight. So here, this is why lightning flash is so good. Look, he's been ready with this bomb. One thing I never described with the green bombs is they expire very, very quickly. You can't predict who they're going to go on, and they expire very quickly. This is about to expire for this guy, and I'm nowhere near the pad. That's where lightning flash comes to save the day. I've already told him in comms here. I've already told him, just throw it. I'm there. He's in the animation of throwing it, even though there's no player there. He's just hoping beyond hope that I am ready to blink in. And you have to make these kind of plays constantly. And of course, I am ready. Oh, he was a little bit slow with the animation there. And we go ahead. Once again, I have the double debuff. I'm woozy, but I'm the south guy. There, I meteor shower it to get it down quickly. Not the best idea. All right. So now we have another thing to focus on, that people on cannons, this wiped us a lot. And unfortunately for me, I was the very first cannon, and I was like one of the more difficult cannons, because when you're doing a reasonable amount of damage, watch what happens here. As I'm flying in, a flame wall has just started. Now, it's been angled here at the druid. I feel like it's always angled at the druid, the person max range, but I don't know. We never managed to determine that. I have been incredibly unlucky. Multiple runs in a row. Many of our fights would just end here. Why? Because if the flame wall started here, all right, and I'm gliding in, what's going to happen? It's going to come around, it's going to roast me right as I land on the platform. And I had so many runs where I made incredibly crazy clutch plays, and I got lightning flash off cooldown, right? On cooldown, because I've just used it. Where, like, I'd have to come in on the right, and I'd have to double dodge roll, and then I'd have to burn in retreat into the boss to get away, and you just narrowly miss it. And I made that play, like, 3-4 times in a row at one point. But then you just realize, like, it's just too difficult. This can feel like a really annoying RNG element of the fight. It can feel like, oh, this sucks. But there are two ways around it. Two very simple things you can do. One of them much more simple than the other. The less simple one is when we started this fight at the very beginning. So let's go back. And we're in pure DPS phase. Look at where we're all stood, guys. We're all stood to the south. And what this means is we know Sabetha is going to start her flame wall to the south. So when the first 30 seconds are up, okay, they'll be up in just a moment. When the first 30 seconds are up, what we're actually going to notice is that the flame wall is kind of in a perfect position to give me and the guy throwing the bomb at me tons of time, all right? So watch, right? The flame wall will spawn towards the south. It will move slightly to our right. And we basically have the entire revolution of the clock, right? The wall's already over. We got loads of time to get to that jump pad. Look at that. Loads of time. Right? And there's basically no risk. If the wall had first spawned, facing up here, then it'd be coming to us just as we use this, and it'd be really icky and scary, right? And you don't like that. So the same thing can, in theory, be done a little bit later in the fight, after the transitionary boss is down. Hold on. Did I skip ahead? I think I skipped ahead a little bit too far here. Here we go. So when the transitionary boss is down, they could, in theory, right now be stacked in the same way. Could. But they're not. It's a bit harder because, they'd have to be stacked like on the east, and we're a little bit further in the fight, and it's a bit more scary, and everybody's focused on other stuff. The other thing you can do, though, if you get a bad wall, and this is what I'd actually recommend everybody do, is the updraft. Let's say the wall's right here, right now, and I'm like, oh, God, what do I do? all you do is you hold back and you hover on that updraft. I know that I told you the updraft will disappear, but you just hover on it. You just bounce on it for a little while, and when you're on the updraft, you are out of range of the flame wall. The flame wall will pass you, and you'll be perfectly fine. So you have to consider that. When you're on cannons, I always knew on south, second south, and fourth south, I was at risk of this flame wall here. I always knew that. And your cannon people are going to have to know that, because it will cause wipes eventually, the amount of time you spend in it. So it's really not this crazy RNG thing. It's just a bit of a play that you can make. All right, so we get back to damaging. No new mechanics right now. Basically, we're just trying to get her to 50% health. And at 50% health, she's going to phase again. So you can just kind of watch the fight going on. You can see all of the different things going on. So right now you'll notice that the north cannon spawned. Last time it went south, west, north, east, south. But now it's gone south, north. So the order is a little bit different. All right? And the reason that they've done this, if you really want to know, is the woozy thing. Like, what you could do is you could try and play around woozing. You could say, oh, we'll have this. If it went south, west, north, east, south, west, north, east in a clock the entire time, right? If they did that, what you could do is only have 2 people on cannons. And everyone else could pure DPS. Because what you could do is you could say, all right, Liz, you go south, get the first cannon. Then while my woozy's running out, Kerry gets west and gets that. And then when the north one comes up, my woozy's off. So I go up there and I do that. And then her woozy's off. And then my woozy's off. And you just you leapfrog. And you could do it that way. But they changed up the order in the second rotation. So if we tried that, I would have to go south and north. And it just makes it a bit more complicated. I suppose you could do it, but, it's more micro than you need to put on yourselves, in my opinion. Just designate a different person for each cannon, and you're fine. All right, so we continue to overload, do our damage. You can see the druid's still at range out there. Everything's going very smoothly right now. She's going to get below 50%, so I'm going to be doing more damage because of Bolt to the Heart and everyone is here. So the kill's actually going to speed up. We're perfectly on time for damage here, guys. We actually had, over a minute to spare on a lot of these. All right, and 50% health, she phases. She leaves. She starts throwing heavy bombs, so you got to deal with that. And a new boss comes. This is Knuckles. Knuckles is very quick to kill. Why? Because he has a big break bar. He's the only break bar you get. His break bar goes down very easily, so you might panic. And you might have your entire group smash all your CCs on him straight away. But he's going to use his ability, and that break bar is going to come up again. So this is actually an exercise in not overdoing the break bar. Like, if everybody does too much on the first one, then you kind of suck on the second one. If somebody's CCing who goes away to the cannons, then it kind of sucks. But this guy dies very quickly because when he gets CC'd, he gets the vulnerability debuff on him. The only boss in all the raids that does this, I believe. Which means you do more damage, and it means that, Elementals can trait for Tempest defense, which actually I was. And you'll notice I'm getting 15k hits on the poor guy before he's even below 50% health. 16k hits. It's massive, all right? So he melts down fast. He's an easy boss to have dealt with before Sabetha returns. But you do have to be... See, look, we got to get our CCs again. So we ended up, gradually designating. People knew when they wanted to CC. I CC'd twice because it seemed like we were panicking and I moved out of Fire Attunement. This massively drops my damage, but you can still see that Knuckles is going down quickly. And largely, it was worthwhile. So Sabetha's back, and Knuckles isn't dead, despite what I just said. We have the West cannons up. Knuckles goes down. Now, if Knuckles gets that tell off, he lifts you all in the air, and he throws you all off. And if you're not in melee when that goes off, he can throw you off the platform completely. It never happened to me, but I think it can throw you off completely. All right, so now I'm just kind of scared a little, and I'm waiting towards south, because we missed the west. But south is up, as I know. I know to expect it here. And I'm kind of ready. I know I've got Lightning Flash, but I've stood back a little. Perhaps a mistake to have done that. But I wanted to be prepared. You don't want to mess up at these times. And we know we're fine for damage. So I Lava Font over. If you're a Glass Ellie, try and do it this way. Lava Font Overload. Lava Font is absolutely excellent. I know there's no Flame Wall coming on this one, so I'm okay. I may have actually been panically saying in TS, is there a wall coming? But we're all right. I get my my passive Elite up again, just for some more might for people if they may be dropping down. Flame Wall comes up. Pretty clutch situation here. Watch how the Flame Wall is spinning around, and we've got someone on a pad here. He's got to get that in time. Now, that can be really scary depending on where the Flame Wall spawns, and that's the kind of stuff that can catch you out. I go down, I'm pretty sure because of an Arsonist. We got a Sapper up again. Another Flame Wall. Everybody knows to avoid it. Fairly comfortable. We're looking for the next phase here. Mostly what people fail on here are the mechanics. The cannons take a lot of coordination. There are any number of things that can go wrong. But yeah, you see we get very consistent big hits here now. You notice with the overloads, I'm trying to stay in melee as well, just so that I can get the ticks on them. I'm in 13k, what were those meters? Here I get a sapper throw something at me, and it was going to tick out really quickly. So here I'm throwing the bomb, because you can't really control who gets it. This was the closest we came to failing this run, and it was because of me. And the reason is because where I ground targeted, it was right on the edge, because it was going to run out. If I didn't throw it that last second, that was it. And watch how... right on the edge, but it goes off. And even Kerry and people noted in TS that it was very close. You know, if that missed, who knows? Maybe things would have gone south very quickly. But it hit. So we go back in. We keep with our alacrity. We make sure we're still in range for all our good stuffs. Another flame wall. And we're looking for the last phase. This is where things get insane. The last phase is a bandit named Card. Now, what Card does is... First, he's basically got the arsonist attack, the little arsonists that do the flamethrower thing. He's basically got a really big, really dangerous version of that you want to avoid. You can kind of treat it the same as the first boss with the shotgun triangular AoEs, but it's in that you look at where he's facing and you move away. So there's an auto from him, and there's his big attack. See that fire? That really hurts. It roasts us, and you notice that we're all quite far away. But the other thing that Card does is he spawns turrets, and we have heavy bombs going on, of course. But so now we've got turrets to deal with. These have to be cleaved down. They are not actually that, oh my god, what's the word? Defensive. They're kind of squishy. Now, you might think, oh, just have an Ellie throw a lava font at them, but we actually found it made more sense to just have a Revenant go and DPS them down, or a Warrior go and DPS them down. So there, I believe, is a Revenant doing it. We're going to focus on Card. Now, you want to kill Card. Card does so much pressure putting these turrets out. When Card and Sabetha are on the final... Like, if both of them are up, you are in some serious hell. Because not only this, when Sabetha returns, another new mechanic's going to get introduced at the same time. So you can have a platform full, or, you know, it's potentially a low-integrity platform full of turrets and Sabetha's new thing and all the attacks. It's just hellish. You have to kill him. Basically, this was the hardest thing about it for us. Killing Card quick enough so that we didn't get too much pressure at the end. That was difficult. You can see that some people died and took massive damage there, eating his attack. So here I get my own bomb, which is a lucky coincidence. Someone else threw one as well. Sometimes you get the double. I know that I've got south. This, again, is a potential flame wall because Sabetha is going to respawn in a second while I'm up here. And she starts with a flame wall every time she respawns. So here I'm waiting a second because I know that flame wall is going to come. And there it is. I could have waited in the updraft, but I was too scared. I knew our damage was okay. And I fly in. Now, as I fly in, we're in the final moments of the fight, and you'll notice something else is happening. We have these AoEs. These are not cannon AoEs. There is a cannon that just went up north, but that's not what's firing. This is the ceiling, which is kind of weird, actually, because I don't think there is a ceiling here. I just think it's the jungle canopy. So, what we have is Card's turrets, if we hadn't cleared them. Card himself. Card is taking an insane, awesome amount of damage. He's actually going to go down. This is one of our fastest runs for killing him. But also, now we have these AoEs here. And we're actually going to do so. I believe we succeeded at this because of something important. And that is the way we played with our Druid. Now remember, the entire way through this fight, the Druid has been at max range, keeping these fiery attacks away. And they're going to continue coming down. But the thing with Druid heals are they're very close proximity heals. And he is fairly limited in what he can do at range. And you'll notice that a lot of us are getting very low. We're taking a lot of pressure here. And usually people wipe hard here. He's still got cannons going on. Our advice, by the way, is to always focus on cannons. Don't just be like, oh, give it up and just DPS. In 1 minute, 49 seconds, the battle is over. When she enrages, all the cannons will respawn, but you do want to keep focusing on them until that last moment, because otherwise there's just too much crap on the screen. And she also enrages and starts doing 500% more damage. This is very tight. You have to kill her, basically, before that runs out. But it's okay. It might not look like we can, but don't forget, she's not going to leave and go invulnerable anymore. We've got all this time of damage uptime. But there's so much pressure coming in at us. So much. So what do we do? Well, the Druid and I make a call in TS to swap. Now, I do, it's true, less damage at range. It just happened. The swap just occurred. I do less damage at range. I'm mostly because I don't get people's buffs. I also can't overload. But from now on, we're going to have a Druid in melee so that he can do a lot more for the buff, for the keeping people healthy and rezzing people. What you want to do, guys, is watch the downstates. When people go downstate here, people pick up quick, very fast. And then the Druid tops their health up. So we swap me out. Now, I am doing what the Druid was doing for the rest of the fight. I am drawing these fiery fields away. So not only do I want to DPS, but I want to avoid these. And I want to avoid the ceiling. And I'm far squishier than the Druid at this job, so it's kind of risky. But as long as I can stay up, these fire fields don't go into melee. You notice we've got one in melee right now. That's because of when the swap happened. And he's going to keep everybody sturdy. So watch that downstate player in a second. Here, somebody got a personal bomb and they ran out and they damaged the fuck out of me. That pretty much sucks, but it happens and it's an accident. And, what can you do? It's just kind of funny to me that happened the second I went range. From range, actually, as a Tempest, I'm okay because as long as I've got to be careful of my meteor shower. There I blink away. I'm going to be honest, this was pure luck what happened here. Flame Wall began. I chose to blink before the Flame Wall. I should have saved it for after the Flame Wall. But through pure luck, she cast the Flame Wall here. If she'd started casting that Flame Wall here, that could have been the end of the run. Because I would have had to have gone into melee to avoid the Flame Wall. I would have probably moved over the fiery AoEs, and I could have screwed myself. If I was really smart, I could have deliberately walked onto the fiery AoEs and died, and then tried Vapor Forming through or around. But we'll ignore all of that. Really, I should have saved my Lightning Flash till after that. But we got lucky. I really do think that, and I could have died. Now, me dying maybe wouldn't have failed the entire thing, but me dying would have put much more pressure on the Druid and stuff, because I'm playing a very key role right now. But I get past the Flame Wall. I also know, because she's Flame Walling, that I'm probably got a bit more time to actually Meteor Shower there, and even possibly go for an Overload, because she's not using the fire attack while she's got the Flame Wall. So I try and get kind of close, but it doesn't work, so I stay back. I am really keen on using this Overload, though. I'm terrified. I want the fight to be over. We have 1 minute, 5 seconds left on the clock. So I'm pushing as much, but watch how sturdy everybody is in there. I'm keeping the fire away, and even a lot of these ceiling fields. Actually, no, I'm pretty sure they're just universal. All right, now here's something else great happens. I'm at max range. The sapper connects a bomb to me. We want to keep the cannons going down, even though we're in the last moments of the fight. As I explained, you keep going for the cannons. So our east guy's ready. And thankfully, I'm close enough. I'm in the east quadrant. We get the bomb. I notice it. I recognize it. Throw the bomb in plenty of time. And we go forward. Now, if I didn't have enough time there, I could have burnt and retreated to him. We would have been okay. Lightning Flash being off cooldown, it was a bit of a shame. If that was on, that would have been even sturdier. But he goes up for that cannon. We're still perfectly comfortable. Druid's keeping people up. Again, keep watching squad UI. Look at our health, all right? Boom. Now, this is why we lose the Eternal. This is why we didn't get the achievement for everybody being alive when the kill happens. She Flame Walls. That Flame Wall has the same tail as any other Flame Wall. It's just as easy to avoid as the others except the falling ceiling. But unfortunately, one of our Revenants got caught by it. What can we say? It's high pressure. You get nervous or whatever. But he gets defeated. So we're now 9-manning it. But she's very low. And that basically failed it for us. That achievement, at least. But so we have the Flame Wall here. I know I've got Lightning Flash. So that may have looked like a scary wall. But I'm totally fine. I move in. I do go for the Overload again. I know it seems kind of weird that I did it there, but at least it gave people might, and then I just dodge back because I know her tail's over and I don't want to risk anything. Again, somebody comes flying out at me and hits me with one of the bombs, but I'm at 100% health because we've been avoiding the fiery field attacks. We go for one final Meteor Shower because she's so low on health. And I mean, at this point, we knew we had it, and it was the most incredible experience. It felt so good. And down Sabetha goes. We're still rock solid. I know we had one person downstate, but look at the health of the group, guys. Look at it. Look at it right now. Very high. And we kill it. The Spirit Veil is quiet. That means everything is complete. There's some achievements you can go for afterwards, which I'll discuss in another video. But we get Fire Extinguisher. We were very close to the Eternal. Didn't quite. You get Mastery Point. And Sabetha, the Saboteur, is defeated. You get your crappy loot, and you move on.